closed mouths don't eat. This is a motto or affirmation that I remind myself every time I tell myself that I hate sales. Because if you have a product or a course or a site or a business in any way, shape, or form, you have to do sales to have a successful business. So today we're going to have another Starbucks, but not Starbies, chat at home. So I've been thinking a lot about sales recently, and we're reading
Sales Don't Just Happen by Stefan Schiffman.
And sales sometimes comes super easy for me, and sometimes it seems really difficult, right? And so a lot of people out there, me included, we hate sales because of the rejection, right? And it really does a number on our mental health, which is why sales has like a big turnover.
Sure. And it's not just the rejection period. It could be the lack of results or how long it takes or the amount of fun you have while you're doing it or your viewpoint on it or your perspective on it, or you see it as sleazy or you see it as yucky or you have bad beliefs about it or you've had bad experiences with it. Like there's so much mental health involved in sales.
Yes. But I feel like, and I could be wrong, but for me personally, like the biggest part of it, the biggest downside was rejection. So even though rejection for me is like nothing, right? This is an interesting thing because the way I do sales is I cultivate relationships and I become attached to these people. And so then it's a different level of rejection, right? So when I'm doing like Grant Cardone selling and people reject me and tell me to go fuck myself and say mean things to me, I'm like I care what any of those people think, right? But when I get to know someone and we've become friends,
it hurts more.
And they reject me, it feels like
the end of the world.
The end of the world.
Yeah. So what I'm getting from you is your mental health is fine when you get a cold pitch rejection.
Yes.
But your mental health goes haywire when you get a warmed up lead rejection.
Yeah, because I like I inception them, and so we've built a relationship.
Well, you've invested a lot of time in the relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's why from the book we're reading, I have wanted to take, because we teach 8 to 15 touch points, and I want to shorten that. I want to shorten this. One of the reasons is for the intensity of the rejected feeling. Like, we have a client that I'm like a super fan of hers. I love her so much. We've had 1 million touch points. We've had 1 million offers. We've coached her. We've done all this great stuff. And then it's like the smallest rejection. And I feel like it feels really bad. It feels really bad.
Sure. And I'm happy to help. But my question to you is, if your mental health is invincible for cold pitch rejections, why don't you just make your entire sales process cold pitch rejections? Cold pitching. Why not Grant Cardone?
I guess I could, but that doesn't feel nice to me either.
Okay, all good. I'm just curious. Like,
sure.
If it was me, that might be what I did. Yeah. I hate long sales cycles, and my mental health goes haywire when I invest a lot of time in a relationship. So you know what? I'm just going to spam. I'm just going to spam cold pitches. It works for me. Yeah. So it's a logical question. Like, why not just do that?
Sure.
But if you're like, for whatever reason, I want to get the hang of long-term relationship building and longer sales cycles and.
Well, I have a reason for that too.
So. That's my question. So why does this matter to you?
The reason for that is because on a cold pitch sale, right, I'm going to probably sell them to get into the funnel, maybe buy a workbook, right? But on the long long-term Cynshine style pitch, these people are going to be my super fans. These people are going to be sharers. I know this sounds crappy, but I'm going to get more out of them in the long run than I am somebody who I know that those cold pitches can turn into like super fans and all that too. I'm aware of that, but I don't know. I guess I feel like investing in a person, in a warm lead, long term, Cynshine style is more. It's worth it. I don't know. I'm just going by my intuition.
Sure. It sounds like you're saying
better.
It sounds like you're saying with cold pitches, you're totally fine with rejection, but you don't find it as rewarding. But with warm pitches, you hate rejection, but that method feels more rewarding to you.
Yes.
Which is fine. I just want to be clear, though, that there are tons of businesses that get rewarded either way.
Right.
So you could get just as rewarded with the Cardone style, spam style, door-to-door,
sure,
sell, cold pitching.
Yeah.
So like, it's just a feeling. Like you just feel more rewarded.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
aware.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to help you. I just want to be clear for you and the audience that super short sales cycles with spam cold pitches can be rewarding and can build a whole business.
Yes.
Long-term relationship building and whining and dining and big ticket sales with a lot of warming up can also build a giant business and be super rewarding.
Yeah.
So could any blend of the two.
Right.
So if you want to explore and improve your mental health with one or the other methods, I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
I just don't want anyone thinking one way in particular has to be done, or they have to get the hang of one or the hang of the other. Like you specifically are saying, even though I'm good at one, the other one feels more rewarding to me, and I want to explore that.
Yeah, I want to be better at
Long-term
the
relationship
long-term
building,
relationship building.
where you invest more, and currently the rejections hurt more.
Yes.
That's what we're looking to improve.
Right.
Cool.
And so that rejection will sometimes spill onto other things. And so this is where the problem comes in. Even the rejection in business, I can deal with, I can handle that. But when it starts to spill out into other areas, now I have a problem.
What do you mean spill out into other areas? Do you mean that?
I mean that it spills into other areas because like, okay, so say person A rejects me that I've built a long relationship with, or I interpret her or his actions as rejection, right? And so then I go about my day, and as I'm doing other things, then I start to my self-talk becomes more negative, like or hating on, you know, where I live and our city and the weather and you, or like, you know what I mean? And so it starts to bleed into other areas of my life because then my negative self-talk gets worse.
Sure.
Because it feels like someone close to me has rejected me. And so I don't like that feeling.
Right. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you want me to do?
So, yeah, I want to know how to, well, one, not feel that rejection as intensely, right?
Okay. So lower the intensity of the rejection.
Right. And yeah, the feeling of the rejection, because they're not really rejecting me. And I know intellectually it has nothing to do with me. Right. And two, also how not to carry that on to other areas of my life.
Well, they're kind of related.
Okay.
If you don't feel very intense about the rejection, what's the chances it's going to affect your negative self-talk throughout the day?
Fair play. Yeah.
I feel like the only time something that happens to us spills out and affects our mental health for the rest of the day or week or month is when it was an intense thing. You don't get a paper cut and think, oh, my mental health's falling apart. I'm not really healthy. I was never good at the dishes anyways. I can't believe
Yeah, fair enough.
You're like,
Okay.
happens to anyone.
Sure.
So say with the cold pitches, when you're rejected by a stranger to a cold pitch, you're like, whatever.
Right.
It doesn't affect the rest of your day.
No, not at all.
Right. So I think my theory is if we deal with the intense feeling of the rejection and we lower it or eliminate it, you won't need to worry about the second thing.
Okay. Fair enough.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's examine the differences between cold pitch rejection and the long-term relationship rejection. To me, the only difference seems to be the amount of time and energy you've invested in either. Because you've invested barely a click in sending your cold pitch,
Right.
if someone's not into it, you're like, no skin off my back. Took me 2 seconds of the day. What?
Yeah.
But if someone rejects your whining and dining, schmoozing, long-term relationship building, then it hurts your self-esteem because you're like, I've invested so much of my time and money in this. It's like if I lose a business that I started it yesterday, found out there was no market, closed it tomorrow.
Yeah, like it's nothing.
No skin off my back.
Exactly.
But if I lose a business that I've invested 5 years of my life in, and I've been doing everything I can and pouring my heart into it and putting time and money, and turns out it was never a good business anyways,
Yeah.
I'm gutted.
Right.
I'm like, that's now suicidal level.
Right.
Like that's people end it for that stuff, right?
Plus, I get close to these people and we share things. We share personal things with each other.
Sure. And for you, like interpersonal relationships are extremely valuable. And
Yes.
when you invest in them and you lose one, it's soul crushing.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing a parallel to like a guy in business. He
Right.
would feel the same way. Like maybe he doesn't care so much about personal relationships, but he cares about transactional relationships and the brand he was building, and
Absolutely.
it's his baby, and it feels like
That's
massive rejection.
gutting. Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
For you feel that way with every long-term relationship you build.
Every business that we've had that has ended, I felt the exact same way that I feel when I lose. And I just want to be clear. sometimes I don't lose the person like they disappeared from my life. It's just
They weren't a fit.
they weren't
For your
a
product.
fit. And so we're still friends and talk and they're part of my network.
Sure, but the lead went nowhere.
Yeah. And so, and especially when I can see super clear how we can help them and how they can like be better and feel better about themselves, because that's always my ultimate goal.
Sure, I love it.
And so then I feel frustrated too, because they were going against something that I know that they really wanted.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Thanks.
My point is, can you see the difference between cold leads and the long-term wining and dining warm leads
Yes.
for you personally?
Yeah.
What is that difference? The amount of time and energy
That I put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The key word is, it starts with an I.
Invest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. When a human being gets invested in something, how do they feel when it doesn't pan out?
That's heartbreaking.
For everything. You
For
see?
everything.
If someone invests a lot in a business and it doesn't pan out, how do they feel?
They feel awful.
Heartbroken.
Heartbroken.
If someone invests a lot in a relationship, a spouse, a friend, whatever, and it doesn't pan out, how do they feel?
Heartbroken.
Right. If a salesperson invests a ton into wining and dining this big account or this great lead or this wonderful person and it doesn't work out, how do they feel?
Heartbroken.
Right.
I mean, I invest in a movie or a TV show, and the character dies at the end. I'm a bawling, crying mess.
Yeah. See Game of Thrones. The entire world is invested in this story and it gets phoned in at the last minute.
Yeah, and it's like, really, you did this to us?
Yeah.
And the tears were out of frustration and anger and what I lost or what I perceived or whatever. Yes.
All good. Can you see how this understanding is a key to things, is a game changer, or can you not?
Yeah, the investment.
So this is it. But those three things, investing in relationships, investing in businesses, investing in wining and dining, even the fourth thing, investing in a TV show,
Yeah.
will that ever not feel heartbreaking to most people?
No.
Doesn't matter who you are, those are going to feel terrible, right?
Yeah.
So then you have two options, right? You either,
Don't invest ever again in anything and screw with the whole world.
if you want,
I mean, that's basically why I had the attitude at Starbucks the other day.
sure. I mean, that's one option. Like,
Sure.
is that a good conclusion?
No.
Are you never going to watch another TV show because
No.
one that you invested in turned out wrong?
No.
Are you never going to have another partner or spouse because you ended up divorcing one of them?
No. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to abandon business forever and get out of the game because one of your businesses failed?
No.
Well, so I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could abandon investment forever, but is this really viable?
No.
Right. So can
not.
we just not talk about it? Like,
Yeah. It's just knee-jerk
bitterness.
hurt reaction
Yeah.
to
Anyone who's hurt and cynical and bitter and jaded feels this way. And they're like, that's it. I'm done with men forever. I'm done with business forever.
Yeah.
I'm done with TV shows forever.
Fair.
It's whatever. It's like a teenager reaction, like some emo angsty thing. And I get it. It's fine. You can feel that way.
Sure.
I'm not criticizing.
Yeah.
But it's not a very viable path through life. And I don't recommend hanging on to it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Right. So then what's the next option?
I don't know. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be asking.
Well, you either abandon investment altogether or you learn to
invest more,
not more. Yeah.
less intensely,
Just better. Like, it's not about more or less. It's just, you just learn to invest.
better.
Yeah.
Okay.
If someone's a wise investor, how often do you think they get burned like this? And how often do you think they end up spending so much time and energy for no return?
Oh, they don't probably get burned very often. Or
Right.
if they do, they doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're good at it. They do it often and they practice often.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're really asking is, how can I be a better investor so I don't get burned by relationships or businesses or any lead that I happen to invest my time in?
Right.
And if you become good at that, you'll likely, A, not get burned by very many leads, and B, feel it less intensely when they don't pan out. Because a good, wise, experienced investor is fine when investments don't pan out.
Right.
You introduce me to any experienced investor, they'll be like, yeah, whatever. Some investments don't work out.
Yeah.
Ain't a thing.
Right.
But you introduce me to a beginner investor who has their first $1,000 ever, and they're investing in a lemonade stand or something, and it doesn't pan out. They're gutted.
Yeah. Fair play. Like, I'm on business 13 or 14. And so if this fails, it's like, whatever. I have like 20 million more ideas I can do. But the first time,
You were gutted.
oh my God. It was the end of the world.
Right.
Felt like it anyway.
And so here you are again. You felt that way with businesses when you were first starting out. A guy who's getting rejected by his first girl is going to be moaning about it in his journal and diary forever and talking about it with friends. A guy who's been to a pickup artist class and has hit on like 1,000 girls, he's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
Rejections don't matter.
True.
And he learns to invest wisely and spot the right targets and all this kind of stuff. Not that you want to think of dates as targets or whatever, but you get the point.
I understand, yes.
So here you are again, relatively new to sales and marketing. You're not a massively wise investor on choosing leads and engaging with leads and knowing when to back off leads and when to let leads go and all this kind of stuff. If you were a pro at it, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, like
It's okay to be new to a skill.
it's frustrating because I've been doing this for 5 years. And
You know you have.
that I would figure this out by now.
Yeah, you haven't been doing this for 5 years. Your total hours put into sales and marketing is like a year. Like most of it was mental health and branding and how do I write a blog and how do I edit things and can you show me editing and so on and so forth. So like, don't be too hard on yourself. Like you haven't really been doing marketing and sales that long. It might seem that long, but the reality is you haven't done it that long. And for someone who's done it for such a short time, you're quite good. Try not to beat yourself up. And for the audience watching, they might say, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years. But if they really look at it, how long have you really been studying and practicing this stuff? How long have you been doing it on autopilot? Should autopilot hours count? How long have you really consciously been doing it? How long have you been improving at it? Like they're different answers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So how long have you been consciously applying yourself to lead management?
2 years.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like you didn't even have a cold, warm, hot system until 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So that's like basic lead management. And you didn't have it till half a year ago or something. So it's okay. Like there's people watching right now who are in the same boat. I've been in the same boat. I don't want you to beat yourself up over it. And I don't want you to carry this narrative that I've been struggling with this for 5 years. This is not a good narrative.
Yeah. Well,
because it will keep you struggling in the future. That's what happens. How your narrative is now creates your future.
well, the first 2 years were all Grant Cardone style, which
Right,
felt
and that's
awful, and
different.
I hated that shit.
Well, but now you're cool with the Grant Cardone style.
Yeah. At the time, like,
Well, I'm saying if you had crunchy attitude about it, it wasn't real practice.
no, yeah. At the time, I just felt because I got a lot of rejection. I got a lot of those when I was doing the Grant Cardone way. It was easy to go through numbers, like, because I was focused on the numbers and the rejection was fine. But I was told to like F off so many times that like you develop a callus almost.
Yeah, a thick skin.
Yeah.
Sure. Guitar players, when they first start, it hurts their hand to play one song.
Yeah.
A pro guitar player has giant calluses and no song hurts his hand. He could play forever.
Yeah.
Yep. First investor, the rejection hurts. Getting burned hurts.
Yeah.
Pro investor, they can invest 1 billion times over. It doesn't even matter.
Right.
This is the difference.
Yeah.
This is the difference on earth of humanity. Someone who's a beginner at something takes everything hard and it ruins their day.
Yeah. True. Fair enough.
Someone who's a skilled pro, who's put in the time and had all their lumps and taken all their hits, is immune to it.
Well, I also think that the better that I got with my mental health stuff, like the more practice I had and the more, I guess the more practice I had, the easier it got. Like
Sure.
the rejection.
Yeah. Being good at mental health helps, or being good at sales helps. Like being good at mental health helps, or being good at guitar helps. I don't care whether you're good at the skill or good at optimism. Either way, it's going to help you with what you're doing.
Right. Fair enough.
There's two components to everything you're doing. There's your mindset and there's your active experience, like your practice at it.
Yeah.
Right? There's the theory and there's the practice.
Yes.
If you have a very good theory, a very good perspective, a very good mindset, it's easier to go through the practice. But if I go meet someone who has a very good mindset and they're still struggling, well, they just need to practice the actual thing.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go out and practice something, you're going to get better at it. But practice means failure. Practice means mistakes.
Yeah.
Practice means taking your lumps. When I say practice, I mean literally signing up for shitty sales experiences.
Yeah, that's the thing, So many people out there, they want to avoid the crappy experiences.
Sure.
But I had to go through thousands of
Cold pitch
rejections
Yeah.
to feel the way I do now.
To get a
about
thick
it.
skin.
Yeah.
Sure. But have you had thousands of lost whining and dining
No.
big leads?
No.
Right.
I've had
But if
one.
I introduce you to a pro salesperson and you sat down and had dinner, they'd be laughing at you. They'd be, oh, honey, I've lost 1 million big accounts.
Yeah.
I've flown to different countries to get these people and then we lose them. And they wouldn't care. They'd be like, it's all good. There's 1 million more where they came from. I'll get back to work tomorrow. Let's shake it off. No problem.
Yeah.
So you might be a pro at cold pitching, But are you a pro at whining and dining big accounts?
Losing them, no.
You're not even a pro at doing it.
No.
Have you wined and dined a million big accounts and crushed it?
No.
Have you wined and dined a million big accounts and lost them?
No.
So you just aren't practiced at whining and dining long-term accounts.
Right.
That's okay. But you asked, how can I not feel this so intensely?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the path is kind of becoming clear.
Yeah, just practice.
Kind of. If you're a beginner, you need to get to pro to have that immunity. No beginner has the immunity. You'll never find one. And all pros have the immunity. There's no beginner guitar player whose hands don't bleed and get callous.
Right.
Like don't hurt and don't give up and don't get tired. Show me a beginner to guitar. This is what happens to their hands.
Right.
But show me a pro, they're immune.
Yeah, they develop their callus.
Right. When you were a beginner at cold pitching, it hurt to be rejected. Now you're a pro and
It doesn't bother me.
right. So this is it. This is what happens. But everyone in life has to decide, do I want to get the hang of this? Do I want to master this skill? Do I want to be a pro? When I first start swimming, I'm going to get water in my lungs and I won't float very well and it'll struggle and I'll run out of breath fast and I'll bump the side of the pool or whatever. I'll be an oaf, you know, I'll be a beginner. I'll be a noob. Like I won't be good at the swimming. I won't get any of the fun swimming experiences. All I'll get is a bunch of bullshit. That's what I'm signing up for.
Yeah.
But I have to decide, do I want to be a pro swimmer or not?
Fair enough.
Yeah. Same for being a parent. The first time, super rough, brutal, and everything hurts and everything feels like a failure and everything feels hard. You're on your 5th, 6th, 7th kid. It's like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
I'm a pro, dude. None of this stuff matters.
Yeah. When the first one is always like that.
Yeah. You're immune.
Yeah.
When you're experienced and a pro and a veteran and you've been doing this for a long time, there's something that comes along with it. Immunity to the failures.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And this applies to every skill everywhere. So a lot of people, they try to become something. I want to be a great writer, but they don't want to have a million failed drafts or rejected books.
Yeah.
I want to be a great basketball player, but I don't want to miss a million shots and be embarrassed on court and miss game-winning shots and get injured and whatever. But this is what this is not how life works, man. When you sign up to be a beginner at something, you're signing up for all the bullshit. And when you stick through that long enough, you wade through all the mistakes and live and learn and stick with it and commit to it, you eventually become a veteran, a pro, and the reward for that is you're immune to all that stuff. All the stuff that bothered you in the beginning ain't no thing. So you're sitting here telling me I want to be immune to losing long-term relationships, even though I'm a beginner at whining and dining big leagues.
Yeah.
Do you think that is physically possible?
No.
Okay. So what's a better thing to aim for?
Mm-hmm. Just to have more.
Yeah, there you go. So it's better to aim for. So if we understand that the beginner at something has to get a bunch of mistakes under their belt, losses, rejections, lumps and bumps to become a pro, then the only wise course of action is to do what?
Get more practice.
Yeah, and how quickly?
As quick as you can.
Yes, because you want to get through the
rejections.
Yeah, and mistakes and whatever else.
Yeah.
As fast as possible.
Right.
So when I become a beginner at something, I don't try to avoid the mistakes. I don't worry about the mistakes. I don't get crunchy about the mistakes or let it ruin my mental health.
Right.
I know consciously, intentionally that I'm signing up for as many mistakes as I can. And I'm going to try and get them in faster than everybody else. That's how I win. Right. I win by going through the mistakes faster than everybody else. If I'm going to go rock climbing, I want to fall 50 times in the first day. Or someone else is like, no, I had enough. I think I'm going to come down. I'm like, dude, I'm going to keep going till I'm exhausted. Like maybe I can only do it for an hour of climbing, but I'm going to milk that hour for as many mistakes as I can.
You fell a bunch of times when you first started, yeah?
And I fell again when I was rusty and I started for the first time in ages. It was like I was a beginner again. I didn't care. Let me just go through the mistakes.
Right. Fair enough.
Right. And if I'm going to start swimming, I know the water in my lungs is coming. I know I'm going to bump into the side of the pool. I know all this stuff and I'm just going to crush it. People are going to be like, dude, aren't you done yet? I'm like, no, I'm still going. Why? I'm going until I'm exhausted. Until I run out of time, until someone rings the lunch bell. I need to get my mistakes in. Because there's this hump, the beginner hump that everyone goes through. It's unavoidable. If you can find me any human on earth who goes past this bump or skips this bump without going through it, I'd love to meet them. That would be a miracle freak of nature.
So just to be clear, everybody has to go through that awkward, annoying beginning of whatever they're trying.
Yeah.
You know, so we're talking about sales. So a lot of people give up in the beginning. Like sales has the most turnover rate, I think, out of all jobs in the world. I'm not sure. I don't know all the statistics, but I do know that a lot of people, they get into it thinking it's easy peasy to sell something, and then they can't, they're like in the middle of this hump. They don't know how to build any resilience to the rejection, and they give up.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you haven't seen it a million times in your own children?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen it in them, yeah, and myself.
Beginner at something.
Yeah.
They start noticing the bumps and lumps and failures that every beginner is supposed to go through.
Right.
And then they give up.
Yeah. So I see a lot on social media. People will say, my toxic trait is that I think I can do this. I think I would nail this. It doesn't matter what the topic is. It's usually something difficult that the person who is showing it off has gone over this hump and has built the resilience, and who has taken all the lumps and bumps and gotten great at it. But there's people in this world that think they can just pick it up and without going over this hump.
Yeah, there's tons of people.
Yeah.
And I used to be one of them. Like, I used to think I could pick up anything, anytime, and pull it off.
Right.
And now I still believe that, but no, I believe that any human can pick up anything. Like, it's all a learnable skill. You can do it. But the difference is, I know that I'm signing up for like a year of struggle and rejection, or like first year of crap. So the old me thought I could pick up anything and skip the beginner stage.
Right.
I could just be good at it.
Yeah.
But the new me knows I can pick up anything, and anyone can pick up any skill that they put their mind to, but only with a good attitude about the beginner stage.
Right. Yeah.
And only if they're ready for that first year.
Fair enough.
And it can't be a year on autopilot. It has to be a year of like, I tried my best and it still failed, and that hurt, and that hurt, and that hurt, and I want to learn to be better, and I'm going to, like, it has to have a really good attitude. So when I become a beginner at something, I sign up for that beginner hump and I go through it as fast as I can.
Right.
And the best thing you can do is come up with tricks to make that beginner hump easier.
Okay.
Those are your two options. Become a better beginner at that thing or give up.
Okay. So what about people who aren't beginners at that, who are still suffering?
But then they're still a beginner.
They're still a beginner.
Right? Like if they've been doing it for years and they haven't improved,
right,
then they're doing it on autopilot. They're not practicing. Like, it's not, you could look at their practice. Bring me anyone who's suffering for 5 years at a task or a skill, and I'll show you someone who hasn't improved. They haven't physically improved. They haven't read or studied or applied anything, or they did read it, but they've just kept reading and watching videos and failed to apply it, or they applied it once, 1 week, and then gave up the next week, or whatever. Like, it's a joke. Their practice is a joke. And I don't say this to be mean. I'm just saying every human being is smart and valuable, and they have potential. And if they put their heart into it and persist at something with a good attitude, optimistically, consciously, intentionally, they will improve at it fairly quickly. Like, no one should take longer than a couple years to get the basics of a skill and get past the beginner hump.
Right.
Pick a skill. You want to get good at karate? Same thing. A year or two tops to get past all of the failures. You want to learn rock climbing? A year or two tops to get past all the failures. It's not going to magically make you amazing in 2 years, but you'll have a good attitude and you won't mind falling anymore.
So then by that, I should be getting better at this soon.
Yes.
Because I'm like...
But it depends. It depends if you're doing stuff on autopilot, or if you're like learning about long-term sales and whining and dining and how to invest in a lead and how to move that lead through the system and like when to let a lead go. And if you're learning stuff, are you learning? Are you practicing? Could you write a book on it? Do you have experiences to share? Can you say, yesterday I got 3 leads and I lost them all? Like, did you take your lumps? Like, how fast are you going through the beginner hump? Or are you dragging your feet? Are you taking a long time? Are you on autopilot? Are you barely practicing? Are you half-assing it? Are you pretending that you're practicing and really not? Are you convincing yourself you're practicing when you're really not? Are you lying to yourself about practicing? Are you busy doing other things? How many hours have you put into it? Like, I'm saying, when I sign up to be a beginner at something, I'm racing through that hump. I'm like, give me all the mistakes. Give me everything I can do wrong, and I'm going to go do them. Like, I want to feel them. I want to experience them in my body. My cells need to know what it's like to bump into that freaking pool wall. My lungs need to know what it's like to get water in my lungs. If I'm in sales, I need to know what it's like to lose a long-term relationship. I need to know what it's like to wine and dine a big lead. I need to know when to let the lead go. Yes. I need to vibe them out. I need to know if I'm wasting too much time. Give me the mistakes. I'm on it. I want it. Sign up for it. I'm ready. Like, this is the way, right? But you show me someone who's suffering for 5 years, they didn't have that attitude. They weren't doing that stuff.
No.
They weren't doing any of that. So it's whatever. Oh, I'm the rare exception. I've been doing it for 10 years. It was all conscious. It was all intentional. I've been practicing really well with a great attitude, and I'm just still struggling, sir. I guess you're wrong, Jay. You're teaching us wrong. No, you're a damn liar.
No,
it only takes a year or two to get over the beginner hump in anything. From rocket science to neurosurgery to rock climbing to swimming to sales.
The first rejection I ever got, somebody said mean things to me about the pitch, about me, whatever. And I remember laying on my bed and crying. And then I talked to you afterwards. And after you left the room, I remember thinking, because you said, like, you know, if you're going to do this, it's the first one, but it's not going to be the last. And I was like, okay. So I remember laying there and thinking, I'm just going to do a whole bunch of them. And
good.
I'm just going to have to go through it.
Yes.
I'm just going to have to go through it.
And same for this. I need to lose more long-term relationships. And people think, no, that's terrible. That's counterproductive. That's counterintuitive. That's not good. I'm like, no, wrong. If you're going to be a wise investor, you should learn how to wine and dine these people and lose them fast.
Yeah.
Like the less time you spend, if you spend 2 years on a big lead and then lose them, and that's your first rejection, then you need to spend another 2 years for the next big lead, and that's your second rejection. This is terrible. You're screwed. Like, you're never going to learn.
Yeah.
What you need is big leads that you lose in a week.
Yeah.
Lose in a day.
Yeah.
Try and make it faster. Get your lumps faster. Go through the beginner stage faster. Fall more. Fail faster. Fail harder. Like, learn.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Right. And anyone who's struggling, if you show me them, they don't have that attitude.
Yeah. For the most part, most of us don't. Most of us,
you won't find them. It's impossible.
We want to blame the other people, like the person, the lead, the lost sale, the whatever,
or just
the
blame
pool,
yourself for not being a good beginner.
The pool, the temperature, whatever it is.
You were afraid. You were afraid of taking your lumps. Is the only reason.
Yeah.
Or you took your lumps and learned nothing from them.
Yeah. And a lot of people get into business and get into sales, especially sales, and then they think, oh, it won't happen to me because I'm better. It goes back to that video that my toxic trait is blah, blah, blah. Well, your toxic trait is that you think that your
shit don't stink.
Yeah. That you don't have to have negative consequences.
You think you can skip the beginner phase.
Yeah. Yes.
You can't.
Yes.
You think you can skip your lumps.
Yeah.
But you can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's not physically possible. It's not the order of how the universe works. The way the universe works is, as children, we start as noobs knowing nothing, and we have to fail and struggle as we learn.
Yeah.
And that never goes away as you're an adult. It's not magically the universe is like, oh, well, you can all just skip beginner phases now. Anytime you learn something new, don't worry about it. You just skip the beginner phase.
Well, this question came about because I knew that I was going to have to go through it.
Yeah.
Like, what's that quote or saying? To get past it, you have to go through it.
The only way out is through.
The only way out. Thank you. The only way out is through. And I knew the only way out was through. And so my question really was about how can I make it like less painful as I'm going through? But I guess
there are tricks for that.
I need to feel the pain to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like me asking you, how can I make water in my lungs less painful? I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, it sucks.
And I don't think I can be a swimmer. Honestly, I'm going to have to give up unless you can make it not hurt. Can you make it not hurt?
Oh my God.
But this is what people are asking.
Yeah, I you're right.
I want all of the wealth and all the money of sales, but I don't want rejection to hurt.
Yeah, that sounds really shitty.
Yeah, but that's people's attitude, and they get away with it.
Right. I don't want it to not hurt. I just want it to be less intense.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, okay.
But we had to cover this.
Okay,
right?
That's good.
We can do that, but we had to cover this.
Okay.
Because this is a big deal.
Right.
This is why people don't learn the shit they want to learn. They don't learn marketing. They don't learn sales. They don't learn business. They don't learn mood management. They don't learn mental health tricks. They don't learn non-judgment, whatever. Yeah. Like anything they're trying to learn. The reason they don't learn it is because they have this giant beginner hump in front of them and they refuse to move through it, or they like half-heartedly move through it, or they take forever to move through it. And here I am signing up to be a beginner and rushing through it because I want that juicy pro immunity, man. I want to be good at my shit.
Yeah, you have to go through it.
I know. And I have to get water in my lungs to be a good swimmer. Yeah. So just bring it on. Let me just dive in. Let me dive the wrong way or breathe the wrong way or whatever it is. Like, let me learn. And I don't care if it hurts. Pain's part of life. Like you get hurt when you're learning to walk. You get hurt when you're learning to build a fire. You get hurt when you're learning to make sandwiches. You get hurt doing anything. Like, just go get hurt fast is all.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
But most people spend their time avoiding the hurt, which means they're avoiding the pro reward. They're avoiding the awesomeness of being good at that skill.
So again, I just want to be clear. So we spend our time in sales, like, because this is about sales, right? But this actually, we're talking about sales, but this can relate
This is about
to
anything. Yeah, this is about
This
everything
really
you ever
can
want to
relate.
get good at,
Yeah.
ever.
And so for me, it just happens to be sales.
Yeah.
And,
Specifically long-term
right.
sales.
Right. And so
Big leads, big ticket sales.
right. So I want to be clear that if other people who are in sales or other people who are trying to do the thing, whatever it is they're building or learning, they have to understand that it's going to be painful. They have to do it. They have to go through it. But there are ways to make it less intense. I know we haven't talked about that, but I just want to be clear up until this point now.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're avoiding it, it's going to take longer.
Oh, if you're avoiding it, it becomes the most miserable experience of your life. And you look back and say, I spent 5 years learning this task and it was miserable and it's the hardest thing on earth. And I eventually gave up and I never learned it and never got any reward at all. Yeah. Whose fault is that? That was the worst learning I've ever seen. Like, that was terrible practice.
Right.
I'm embarrassed for you. Like, what were you doing? How do you have arms, legs, a mouth, and a brain if that's your approach to learning swimming, right? Like, if you saw me learning swimming, as I dip a toe in the water, and as soon as it gets close to my nose, I get out and I go have a self-care day and I pamper myself and I can't even go near the water for another week, and then I try again next week and I get closer to my nose, but then I'm worried about the water in my lungs again, and then someone takes me on vacation and I end up going swimming with them and I get water in my lungs for real, and now I'm done. And now I'm just done for a year. And then I go visit another year, and then 5 years later, I put like barely any effort into this thing, but I'm telling everyone I spent 5 years on this thing and it was impossible. I have some super shitty narrative, and the truth of the matter is swimming isn't hard. It's not hard to learn it. I was just a giant.
Yeah.
You're smart. All our audience is smart. All you guys can learn any skill you want in a short time. There's all the wisdom out there. There's all the knowledge. There's free courses. I'm teaching it. You're teaching it. If you just apply yourself and practice consciously, intentionally, with an optimistic, wholehearted attitude, you'll get it in a year or two tops.
Okay. So then,
Nothing will take you longer than that.
right. But for someone with a lower self-esteem, right?
Oh.
So someone who,
Good luck.
like, I know we're talking about me, but I also want to help people who are listening.
Yeah,
right?
if you have low self-esteem,
And so the people who already struggle with some self-esteem issues and self-confidence issues, right? And then they're trying, it doesn't even necessarily have to be sales, but they're trying to do something and they're getting rejected for it and they're feeling pain.
yeah, then it will reinforce their self-esteem narrative, their low self-esteem narrative, and they'll feel worthless and they'll feel like they can't do anything, and then they'll whine about it for another 5 years and they'll be stuck in the same position.
Yeah, but how can they get out of that? How can they use something like, we'll just use me for an example. Okay. So, how can I use the rejection to help my self-esteem and to help my self-confidence?
Yeah, it's a great question. And like, you do it the way I do it, or any beginner does it.
Okay.
There are two types of beginners. There's one who sees every rejection or every mistake or every failure or every water in their lungs as a setback.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the beginner who sees every single one as them inching towards pro, following their hero's footsteps and getting through those failures.
So again,
These are the only two views you can take of that negative experience, right? You either see a negative thing in it. This is bad, not valuable. It's a setback. It's unpleasant. It's something to avoid and never happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Or this is good. This is exactly what my heroes did. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to get better with this. I might not eliminate it entirely, but I'm going to learn how to deal with this, and I'm going to do better tomorrow.
So it's again seeing the positive in the negative.
Yeah, it's perspective.
Okay. So then it's more practice, because like for me, I have a lot of practice.
Well, it's optimistic practice. When you have these rejections, only you know what's going on through your head and in your emotions, but you're either this beginner who's getting crunchy about it and this is bad and I hate this and the world sucks, or you're this beginner, like the me kind of beginner, which is like, great, bring on more mistakes. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to have some water and I'm going to go get my second rejection. Like,
yeah. And I just want to
you are one of these two.
I want to interject something too for people who are in sales. I want to point out that even if you are rejected, even if you get that no, you don't have to accept that no. Like, it doesn't have to be. I know that's a whole nother podcast episode, but I really want to make it clear for the audience.
Yeah, I love it. Accept it or not, it doesn't matter. Like the no is valuable to the salesperson.
Yeah.
You know when a no isn't valuable? To some fragile silly ass who doesn't want to learn.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
I know.
If you put two people in front of me, one, a born, committed salesperson, they'll see every no as getting them closer to a yes. They'll see it as productivity. They'll see it as a learning experience. They'll see it as information. They'll see it as data. They'll see it as, now I don't have to deal with that lead, or I should revisit that lead later, or I had the wrong approach. They'll learn something from the no.
Yes.
They'll see it as value. Giant sales would just be like, this means I'm a bad person. This means sales too hard. This means the world's against me. This means people hate selling. This means whatever. They just have some stupid negative conclusion and they're going to go nowhere. And they're going to remain a giant that did not learn sales. And it's not to be cold. It's just how every skill works. If I did the same thing with guitar, one is a dedicated guitarist who's determined to get this. Every time their hands bleed or they cut themselves on a string or their hands get tired or they can't reach the chords, they will see it as a positive. You know what? Good. It's enough practice for today, but I'm going to heal from this and I'm going to tackle it tomorrow. And it gives me something to research. Has anyone else gone through this? Is there a better way to hold my hands? Is there better strings to use? I'm going to use it as information. This guitarist will get over the beginner hill fast and become a pro and be immune to calluses and immune to injury and whatever. Like they'll be super strong. The giant Cynthia guitar is like, woohoo, I hurt my finger. I guess my genetics just aren't cut out for this. I'm like, dude, there's one-arm guitarists playing. There's like toddler guitarists playing. What are you talking about? Like,
yeah,
you can get this. No, it's too hard. It's too painful. All right, whatever. In life, there are a billion skills to learn. And in life, there are two ways to approach that skill. As a lame, weak, silly-ass beginner with low self-esteem who doesn't understand how the universe works, or as a committed, determined beginner who's going to get this, who sees value in everything, who follows their hero's footsteps and knows they're going to reach that pro goal of becoming immune to all of the lumps and bumps.
Right.
Those are your two choices. Show me any two people and you will see one of these.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the more people practice this, again, not just with sales, but with anything you want to learn, and you get over that I'm not great hump, it feels really good, because I've also had that feeling of I can pick this up and be really good at it. And usually it's some sort of creative thing. And I'm pretty good at it when I do pick it up. That's true. But being okay and good at it isn't mastering the thing. And so I don't want to master everything. But for me, mastering marketing is very important. And it's something that I'm working towards because of my book. So this is super helpful.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
No, I love it.
And I hope that people can see all the areas in their life where they can kind of implement this and improve, and then look at maybe there's something that they've been working on for a few years and they're not any better. And this will open their eyes and help them see. So thank you. It's very helpful for me. So then can you tell me how I can make the rejection less intense while I'm going through that beginner thing?
Yeah, this is the best question. This is what everyone should be asking. Mm-hmm. When people ask questions about a skill, it should be something like, I know I'm going to have to experience rejection or get water in my lungs or take a fall while climbing. Mm-hmm. I know these things must happen and I'm not afraid of them. I'm glad for them. Everyone went through them before me and I'm going to join them. I'm going to be a person who gets that stuff too. Mm-hmm. My only question is, how can I do that faster, better, and easier? I just want to minimize some of that stuff. Even if you have nothing to help me, I'm still doing it. I'm still going through these because I'm committed to becoming good at this. I'm going to beat the beginner hump.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Right.
That's why
so that's
I came
good.
here to ask.
No, it's good. But I'm saying, like, even if the power went out or, like, God forbid, like a fire-breathing dragon came and took me out right now, you would still be like, well, whatever. I'm still going to do it.
Yeah, I'd go print flyers and go to hand them out to people. Yeah, like I would do it anyway. Yeah.
Well, and particularly you would wine and dine long-term clients and then lose them.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant. But anyway, that's exactly what I mean.
Right. So once you have this attitude, this is the attitude that lets solutions come to you, right? When you're at peace with reality, when you're at peace with the universe, when you're at peace with the beginner hump of every skill, and you know it exists and you're walking into it with open arms.
Right.
This is the attitude that lets solutions come. So before I start throwing solutions around, let me ask you, would the rejections hurt if you spent less time and energy whining and dining these big ticket leads?
Would it hurt? Would it hurt?
Would it hurt less if you spent less time? Like, does it hurt more when you spent hours with this person on the phone and
Oh yeah, it'll hurt less if there's less time. This is why the Grant Cardone way doesn't bother me, because it's like a flick of my wrist,
Right.
and I'm done.
like I said in the beginning,
Yeah.
you invested less time in the cold pitching, so the rejections hurt less.
Right.
You
Yes.
invested more time in the warm leads, and the
Yeah.
rejections hurt more.
Yes.
So one solution to make it this easier is to lessen the amount of time you give to these warm leads.
Right. Okay.
Now, how can you do that?
So a lot of these warm leads that I have cultivated over a long period of time, these could have been, I could have offered way a long time before I did, right? Like I chose to nurture them and wait for an opening. I don't have to do that. I could easily go in after, 8 touch points and offer them something and pitch in something. I don't have to be super salesy about it, but I can move the conversation and the relationship forward faster by choosing different language and choosing what I'm going to talk to them about. So it's possible, yes.
Yeah, brilliant. So that, to me, that sounds like a great first step. That could be a great solution. Maybe that's all the solution you need. Maybe that would solve everything right there. I don't know, but it's at least something to try.
Yes.
And it sounds like you came up with it yourself when I asked my question.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you already kind of had this or came up with it now. And it makes me wonder, is there a reason you're not implementing a solution that would make your journey easier?
Well, actually, the reason why I haven't implemented that quite yet is because I was following my intuition and doing some other things.
Sure.
But also, I just got annoyed with how long things were taking. And so
Right,
it was
but this would shorten it.
Yeah. Yes, I know, but I haven't implemented it yet because of the other things I was focused on this week.
Sure, but just so I'm clear, you don't like it to take long. It's
Right.
annoying when it takes long.
Yes.
And you have a solution to make it shorter.
Yeah, but I only came up with that solution yesterday. So
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
a new, it's a new solution.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why you
yeah.
haven't implemented.
yes,
All good, fine. We can explore other ones.
right.
But the point is, if your brain came up with a solution to shorten this thing, that's a good sign. As a beginner, if I'm getting calluses, maybe I put Band-Aids on there next time or cotton pads or something, right?
Right.
Like I'm a beginner, but it doesn't mean I can't come up with solutions.
Yeah.
So I'm a beginner, but it doesn't mean you can't shorten the sales process or the lead nurturing.
Right. So I looked at the Grant Cardone way and I asked myself, what about this do I like? What do I dislike? Well, I like that I know right away if somebody's telling me no, right? So I like when that I get that information right away.
Yeah,
They're
I
not
want to
interested.
know.
I'm done. Yes.
I want to know.
Yes.
Right. Good. It's a good attitude.
And so then I thought, okay, so how can I make it faster to get the no with the long term? Because I don't want to put in, months of time with somebody who's going to turn around and tell me no.
Yeah, it's a good question.
That is annoying. So because of the book we're reading,
Sales Don't Just Happen by Stefan Schiffman.
so Stephen, whatever his name is, Schiffman, he inspired me with because he does a Grant Cardone way. But as we were reading, kind of, we haven't read the whole book, so I don't really know.
But
But
I always look at his conference call example, and that
Right.
wasn't the Grant Cardone.
that's not right. And so that's why I said kind of. But he wants to push people out faster. So that's why I said the Grant Cardone way. It's not quite as fast as that. However, I think if he looked at my sales cycle at, how long it takes,
He would think yours is too long.
he'd be like, girl, like, what are you doing? This is,
he would.
we need to know no or yes faster.
And it sounds like you agree with him, because the most annoying thing
Yes.
that bothers you about this is how much time you had to invest to
Yes.
find out that they're going to ghost you.
Yes. Like I had a lead who we talked almost every day. Every time one of us posted, we were engaging and talking. And then I made my pitch. And I'm talking about January, February, March. We're in March, right? 3 months.
Sure.
I pitch him and he doesn't reply. And I asked for him to look over something. So I wasn't selling anything. I'm asking him if he would look at something for me.
Sure.
Because it was finance and he's in that industry, right?
Sure.
Nothing. Not totally, but didn't reply. And I thought, that's weird. I know he travels a lot. I hope he's okay. I waited some time. I followed up.
Sure.
No comment, no scene, no nothing. And so now here I am, like 3 months into it, and you've ghosted me. And so it would have really been nice to know the first week or 2 weeks or even just January,
Sure.
would have
Right.
been nice.
Right.
So
do you think that every beginner salesperson goes through this?
yes, of course.
So do you think this is a normal, natural lump to be taking?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any ideas or solutions of how to get that lump faster?
She had just less time, I think.
Okay. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not any jaw-dropping solution you've come up with here.
No.
You're just saying offer sooner.
Yeah. And I think any other normal
Which is fine.
salesperson would agree with me.
Well, that's fine. I'm not trying to draw distinctions between like you and other normal salespeople. I'm just trying to find what works for you.
Right.
So this is the thing, right?
Yes.
Every beginner has their own unique situations, but you might end up coming to the same conclusions that other salespeople in the past have come to, or you might find a creative new way. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't dig my way of Cynception, the long term
At all.
Like at all.
I know.
They want to go through the numbers, and that's great, and that's fine. And I understand my way is not for everyone, but my way, I believe, is more lucrative in the end than the other way.
Not if you're doing it like
but
this.
No, I know that.
Right. So you're going to have to improve it.
Yeah.
So you already came up with some ways to improve it.
Right.
Which is brilliant. Good on you. And what I'm getting at is, so far, you've thrown out some very obvious solutions.
Right.
But is it possible there are some more creative solutions that are even better or even more lucrative or more time-saving or more helpful or would impress Stefan Schiffman or whatever, right?
Sure, yeah.
So maybe so.
As a relatively new to sales. So before I focus a lot on the marketing and branding and the connections. And now I'm more focused on the actual sales itself.
Sure.
So
they're very related.
Yeah, of course. They're all related, but separate at the same time. So, yeah, as a new person, I'm pretty sure I haven't read that many. I've read a million marketing books, but not that many sales books.
Right. But not only that, like, do you think I might be a resource? Do you think I might have some creative solutions?
Of course. That's why we're here.
Thank you. The reason I ask is you haven't often asked me how to make sales easier or how to lower the intensity of rejections or anything. This is the first time, actually.
You know?
So,
well, since I haven't had that many, I couldn't really ask.
Yeah. That's another good point. If you don't get your beginner lumps, like enough of them, you'll never even think to ask for a solution.
Because the rejections I've had so far
few and far between
I've gotten so many yeses and so many people to sign up that
like my conversion rate is so high. I'm spoiled and I can't deal with rejection. Everyone says yes to my boobs, so I don't have to try.
Well, okay, yeah. And
that's kind of your attitude.
I'm just saying, like, I have had some incredible conversion rates.
I know you have.
That would make other people quite envious.
Absolutely.
But that's a great thing. I love it. But at the same time, now the reason
it hurts your practice.
Hurts, yeah, because
it hurts your practice.
I don't want to like do bad at my job to get this practice either, you know? So I think that you probably have some ideas that you haven't heard yet. And I'm looking forward to you because I can tell you. Before you tell me anything else, I really want some water. Please. Thank you. Okay, so now we've had some water. I want to hear, because I already know you have something up your sleeve, because I know you.
So would you say that the process of selling is just interacting with another person through yourself or your brand or your product or your materials or your content or something in increasingly specific ways until you both reach an agreement that a product or service will benefit them and is worth investing in?
Yes.
So they start out not agreeing that that product or service is a benefit to them and is worth investing in.
Right.
And you're not even maybe talking about it directly. It's a very vague, general first step.
Yeah.
And then as the interactions continue over time, they become more and more specific, more and more pointed, more and more directed towards that specific product or service. And eventually, when the time's right, and you both have reached harmony or agreement that this makes sense for the person to invest in, they then pull the trigger and invest.
Yes.
Right. So would you say that as a charming, feminine Libra, you are adept at conversation?
Oh, yeah.
But would you say you're fairly adept at moving a conversation forward to a specific point?
No, I need more practice with this. Yes.
Okay. So even right there, maybe we have something that's going to help shorten your time. Mm-hmm. A salesperson who's very adept and talented at moving a conversation forward to a specific point is probably going to have a much shorter sales cycle than all the other salespeople.
Yes, probably.
Recently, we had a combined coaching call and you praised me for how quickly I was able to get to the point and to interrupts people and to navigate the conversation and to get her to say what I want or get the right info out of her or get us to the correct step to help her.
Yeah. So
you praise me for it.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive because you were aggressive in a way that I'm not now anyway.
Yeah, but I wasn't always like that.
Right.
Right? Like when I was a youngster, new to business and new to sales, I wasn't at all like that.
Right.
I was too scared to be like that.
Right.
What if I upset people? What if they think I'm being rude?
Yeah, that's right there. Like if I had said what you said on that call, I would have thought I was being rude.
Sure. But the question is it ever really rude to get a beneficial product into someone's hands faster than taking years? Like, is it rude of me to try and get them making money faster? Is it rude of me to save them time faster? Is it rude of me to give them the hottest fashions faster? Like,
right. No.
Right.
No.
So if they're rambling and distracted and off doing other things and ghosting me, and I'm like, you know what, dude, do you want this thing or not? I'm going to save you some money and some time. Does it sound good to you?
Yeah.
Like, is it ever rude of me to push for the sale if I know it's going to help them and benefit their life?
No, you're trying to help them.
Right. And if I take a long time, aren't I actually hurting them? Aren't I doing a disservice? Isn't the rudest thing to know that I could save them time and money and be like, I'm just going to have some fluff conversation and not bring it up, even though I know it would help you and I'll just let you keep suffering. Like,
yeah.
Isn't that the most ignorant thing I could possibly do?
Yeah. And I had a call a few weeks ago with somebody who he started telling me his whole life, and I interrupted and said, we only have an hour.
Great.
I really want to help you.
Great.
So I don't need to know that your parents are where your friggin' parents are from.
Great.
But I felt kind of rude.
Sure. But do you think this is about feelings or about solving your annoyance with long-term sales that ghost you?
No.
Like, what feels worse? Maybe possibly being rude when I interrupt someone, or spending 3 months of my life on someone who's going to ghost me?
No. Yeah.
So let's say they both do feel bad.
Right.
Which one you want to sign up for?
To figure out how to deal with the ghosting and the long-term thing.
Right. So let me push the conversation forward.
Right.
If a girl is going to seduce her crush, maybe she doesn't want to be aggressive about it, but if she thinks they're a good fit and a good match, is she going to be passive about it? No. So even if she's flirting gently and slowly and in a feminine way, how long is she going to wait around, really? Isn't she going to escalate it and flirt more and flirt harder and drop more hints and be more obvious and kind of turn it up?
Yeah. We met in November 2018 and you weren't interested in me. And in May 2019, we were together and you were telling me you love me.
Yeah. So isn't that a long-term wine and dine relationship?
Yes.
And did you worry that you were being rude?
No.
So if you want to close the sale and get the reward, what's a good approach here?
To be a little aggressive.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you got to be Grant Cardone level spam aggressive.
No. I get what you mean, though. Like girl who wants her man.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
And if you care about these warm leads and you want to help them and you know your product can help them, if you know your product can save their freaking life, save them time, save them money, are you really going to dance around the fluff conversation for 3 months at a time?
No.
Isn't it better to learn to move the conversation forward to a specific point where we're like, do you want this thing or not?
Yes.
Does it make sense for you to buy it? Have I sold you on this?
Yeah.
Are you willing to give it a test drive? And then if they ghost you, great. I flirted with that guy, he ghosted me. Fine. I'm on to the next one.
Yeah.
Tinder has 1 million matches. No big deal.
Yeah.
But the faster you take your lumps, the faster you get the ghosting. But the people can't ghost you if you keep the flirting light. If you just see them at the office every day, you smile, you share a coffee, and you go back home and you do that again for a year, how is this helping anyone? And how is this not a waste of your year? You could have found out if this guy was interested in you if you just put yourself out there.
Right. So here is where the gender differences come in, I think, just a little bit. So for men, well, first of all, sales is usually a male-dominated business.
Yeah, this is why.
This is exactly why. So, and not all, and we're not talking about really, I guess, not really talking about gender, masculine and feminine to appease people.
And actually, pharmacy reps and stuff are all women.
Yeah, I'm talking about the kind of sales and business that we're doing. This is mostly a men's arena because women who are in it really suffer from this stuff. And this is why very few of them are successful. But anyway, I digress. So you are a masculine man and you have no problem telling someone when you want something, when you need something, where on the other hand, for me, when I, like the way I threw myself at you, I've never done that in my life.
But it worked.
It worked. But I had never done that in my life with any man, right? And I had to tap into the masculinity, the masculine side of myself to be more assertive and go after the thing I wanted. And so it comes back to practice again for anybody, even males who are in their feminine and who have a hard time being assertive and telling people honestly what they want. This is something that's going to have to practice. Like this, that's the only way.
Sure, but it's the beginner hump.
Yeah,
I know.
And so not only is it the beginner hump and the business part of it, but you're tapping into an energy that is not always the most comfortable for you. And for me, the masculinity, because I was masculine for so long, I tend to push it out and really avoid it. But with business, I have to tap into that. And so I'm listening to you say this stuff and I'm thinking, oh, that's a whole nother practice in and of itself for me to be a little bit more assertive and aggressive in my sales. But I want to be like you when I grow up and be that kind of person where I can turn it on and off and still be feminine.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal. Everyone has masculine and feminine inside them. You just use whatever is necessary to get the job done.
Right.
Like, if you want your children to do something, you could dance around with them for a year, like, oh, I've hinted at it and I've mentioned it. Or you can be like, get up to your room and clean it now.
Yeah. They're not going to take the hints.
Well, whatever. Yeah. I'm saying. And if you care about your clients and you care about these leads, you're going to let them go off and listen to so-and-so and this and that guru, or are you going to sell them your product? Are you going to make sure they get the thing that wins and works?
Yeah.
And is that going to happen with dancing around fluff flirtation forever?
No.
Or is it going to happen if you're like, hey, do you want to go to the prom with me?
Yeah.
Like,
yes. Yeah.
Do you want to go to the movies? Let me try something. That's too much? Would you like to share my jelly beans? Like, I don't care how gentle you want to take it. It's all up to you. But I'm saying, if you don't want to spend 3 months dancing around flirting only to find out your lead's flat and you're ghosted, then maybe in the first day, offer the jelly beans. In the second day, offer a movie date. On the third day, take them to prom. And if they're not vibing on one of those, then you know it's going nowhere.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I also want to be clear on something because I know people are going to say that you spent 3 months on a lead. So I do a combination of Grant Cardone cold outreach and the Cynshine warm outreach. So I have a list of those people who I have worked them through the 3 month list.
Sure.
However, all those people on the 3 month list, this is why, going back to what we were talking about earlier, my engagement is so high, why I have such great conversion rates, is that 3 month list.
Great.
But I could have done it in one.
Yeah. It would have saved you a lot of time and heartbreak. Not only that, is conversion rate.
But I didn't know that until this conversation.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you came to a realization. Is engagement and conversion rate the holy grail? Like someone who has a 75% conversion rate, but who only hits 3 leads a year.
Oh no, that's pretty crappy. Yeah. Yeah.
That business is dead.
No. Yeah.
So great. Yeah. Hooray. Your conversion is like,
no.
Well, but someone who's scared to get rejected or who gets crunchy after rejections, that's where they end up.
Yeah.
They get 3 leads a year and they convert 75%.
I'm glad that you brought that up because people don't know, like I have 100 lists or 3.
So if we look at your list, how many cold leads, how many warm leads, how many hot leads, and how fast are you rejecting people off them and getting new people onto them? Right. Is your list jumping? Are you crushing it every day? Is it hours of list building and list management? Or is it like 1 lead per year, another lead next year? There's a big difference.
Not quite, but yes.
Well, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, whatever. You know your thing.
Yes.
But I'm saying, as a salesperson, especially as a beginner salesperson, you need to think about these things.
Yeah.
You could do cartwheels for your conversion rate all day long, but there's more to sales than just that. There's more to marketing than just that.
Yes.
How many impressions are you getting? How many views? How many leads? How many conversions? How much engagement? How many touch points? And finally, how many sales?
Yes.
And then once you get a sale, do you get repeat sales? Do you get upsells? Do you get cross sells? And maybe you leave that up to your funnel or to another sales team, or it gets passed on to another member, or maybe it's not an issue. But when you get better at sales, all of these things become clear and intuitive and on the radar, and they're never neglected, and they're always kept in mind.
Right.
The way a good swimmer will keep their stroke in mind, and their breathing in mind, and their pace in mind, and their markers in mind, and their alignment, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But a beginner won't. So yeah, I feel like we covered a couple possible solutions for you. One you put out there that was just offer it way sooner. Why am I taking so long?
Yeah.
One that I put out there, which is be more assertive and more aggressive.
Yes.
Make the conversation move to a specific point. Keep that point in mind and make sure every interaction is going there. If you start getting distracted or having fluff interactions, this may be hurting you, because then you're investing time in this and that distraction and this thing, and none of it was about the product or the service, and it wasn't moving towards it. And so then when they leave, you're like, what happened? And it's like, well, you could have found that out much sooner.
Yeah. So like what I do is I have a couple fluff interactions in public, and then I move it into DM, where I will again have a couple, one or two fluff interactions, and then I introduce myself and what I do and who I work with, and this is how I move it along. But I could definitely do it much faster. I could be more assertive with it, and I can be where I think where I have some trouble with is outright saying what I want, because again, it comes back to I'm not really used to this.
Sure, but there are
saying what I want to someone.
There are ways around it. Like, you don't have to say what you want. You can just ask really pointed questions.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to say what you want.
Right.
Right. There's so many ways to approach this, but you need a system for yourself that you know every time I get to the end with someone, I'm going to ask some variation of X.
Yes.
I'm going to ask X, Y, and Z.
Right.
To find out the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
But like, it sounds like you don't do that right now, and it causes you problems. I could be wrong, but if you were doing that, you would get the answers you want fast. So you could ask, for example, hey, my favorite topic is mental health. I was wondering if you have any experience with that, or anyone in your life, or is there anything you could share with me about that? I just get really excited talking about it.
Right.
It's like some giggly, girly little thing, right? Like, it's not assertive.
No, true.
But then you get your answer. Like, either, no, I don't care about that stuff, or yes, I do, or whatever. If it's, no, I don't care about it, maybe they're going to ghost you in 3 months.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough.
Did it hurt to ask?
No.
Did the world end?
No.
Was it assertive? Was it masculine?
Right. No.
Like, but does it give you some of the knowledge you want?
Yeah. And so usually the way I go about it is I ask them if they have had any issues with mental health.
Oh, so you do have a
or
system.
If they have any resources, depending on, I feel it out.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Great. That's good. So then I was wrong. You already have something.
Yeah. But the problem is, this is where I was going to interrupt you. My issue is that I could do it in 8 or less touch points. I've been doing it in 15 touch points. And so that's ridiculous. It doesn't need to take 15 touch points to ask this freaking question.
Sure. And then hopefully you have a follow-up system. If they say yes.
Yes.
Right. So then it sounds like you're okay.
Yeah. I think just bringing it closer, like less time, will be really helpful for me.
Well, if that's all you need, great.
And I think that will be the most helpful. And I also think there's some better questions that I could ask.
Right. Exactly. A good salesperson will come up with better approaches.
Yes.
How can I get this better? How can I move this conversation along quicker?
Yeah.
How can I get to the point faster? Are there words that I should say? Are there things that will resonate? Are there offers I should make? Should I offer a freebie? Should I offer a paid discount? What should I offer? Like, they will learn what to say and how to sell and what's going to get these people, what's going to move the conversation forward.
Yeah.
And the more you put specific dates and times in, the faster you get your no's or your yeses.
Yeah. So we learned that from the book that we're reading.
Yeah.
But
I've always done it habitually anyway.
So I haven't figured out quite yet, because I wanted to move along more in the book before I figured this out or came to you and asked you. So what I want to do is take the questions I have and get a specific date and time as well. So I don't feel like I can do it at the same time, or maybe I can.
You can just say, you've indicated that mental health is valuable to you.
Mm.
I know I have the best mental health newsletter that ever existed on the planet Earth. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. It's going to save you struggle. It's going to relieve your anxiety. It's going to soothe you. I swear to God, it will help you on everything on the planet. Will you give it a sign up by tomorrow at midnight or by tomorrow evening at 6 p.m.?
And what if they ask, why a deadline? Why is there a deadline?
Whatever. You tell me. I tell them the truth because I'm only interested in people who really want to help and soothe their mental health. I want people who are serious.
That's so Guy. That's so
I test it.
Yeah. That's, okay.
But that is the truth.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing if you're going to ghost me.
There's where the masculine part comes in. Yeah.
I'm doing it to see if you'll ghost me.
Yeah.
But you could do it in a feminine way. Like, well, I've just been burned by so many people. You know how it is. And so, I don't know. It's just my knee-jerk reaction now. Like, whatever. I don't.
Okay.
Just the truth.
Yeah. And actually, that's why I get a lot. We get people to sign up is because I'm honest and say, I need more eyeballs on my book. I need more eyeballs in my funnel, in my newsletter.
Right.
And they're like, oh, you're honest? You're being honest? You're telling me the truth?
Yeah.
And then I get praised for it. I've had people tell me, I love the way you do this. I love your system. I love the way you came and talked to me. I love blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so that's good. This is really helpful for me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, the best selling leans as much on the truth as possible.
Yes.
But no selling leans entirely on the truth.
That was my other question was, I was going to talk about the girl that got upset about the sell me this pen, the ethical thing,
Sure.
the sales thing. But
I hit that out of the park.
Yeah, you did. But that's a whole nother podcast. But it just reminded me of that.
I think this has gone long enough anyways.
Yeah, this is good. Well, then I guess I can use this time to sell my book. It's called Eyes Wide Open, Volume 1. And it is the world's first self-help coffee table book.
And look, if you guys are tired of wall of text personal development books, you're tired of stuff with no pictures, you're tired of stuff that never gets to the point, you're tired of stuff that's just full of fluff and it feels like the author's just wasting your time, this is the book for you. Every word counts. I made sure every page is tight and concise. It gets right to the point and it gives you that aha moment or that mind blast. And if you need more walls of text about something, I point you in the right direction to recommended reading on that topic. And every page comes with a different topic. Money, sex, death, whatever. It is game changing. You freaking want this. I'm selling it hard because I know it will help you. And that's all there is to it.
Go to eyeswideopenfree.com and get your free PDF copy of our book. And when you do that, you'll sign up for our newsletter and hear all the hot goss from us 3 times a week. And on Fridays in the same newsletter, we will link you to our podcast so you don't have to go and search for us. Okay. Well, thank you so much for the amazing conversation. You are super helpful. And before your final thoughts, I just want to give a shout out to our amazing anonymous sponsor who is expecting a baby with his girlfriend in September. We love you so much and we are so, so happy for you. Yay, you could go celebrate at Starbucks. So, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with our amazing audience?
Yes. If you guys have something valuable that you know will help other people, you can either be shitty at selling it or you can be good at selling it. I hope you choose to be good at selling it. And if you do choose that, you're going to have to go through all the lumps and all the learning to get there. But don't worry, we'll help you all along the way. I believe in you.
And that's why our book and this podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. After today, you'll know how to handle rejection in sales and get over that beginner's hump. So now you can go watch this video here called What Do Business, a Recipe, and Mental Health Have in Common? To help you improve your mental health in business so you can succeed and to help you keep your eyes wide open.
Keep rising.